Hey everyone, Pete Calandra here. That was an improvised performance featuring the reworked and updated alt piano by Westwood Instruments. This instrument, which comes from the 1960s, is described by Westwood as an old upright piano with stories to tell. It's recorded both with felt and without felt, and it gives the piano two distinctive characteristics: soft and intimate, as well as very bright and punchy. Part of the update is that Westwood took the original recordings of the piano and transformed them using processing into these beautiful and interesting textural layers. It's housed in their new evergreen format, which makes it easy to access these layers and gives you a great amount of control over all of the characteristics of the sound. For today's demo, I've created several short pieces of music so that we can see how the piano might be used in context. There's varying styles and orchestrations so that you can see how this instrument might be used in music that you would write. As a little bit of a disclaimer, Westwood did send me an NFR version of this instrument, but they have no say in the content of this video. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. For more content, please subscribe, and to be notified, ring that bell. There are timestamps in the description box below so that you can easily navigate through this video, and I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Please leave any comments down below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and let's get right into it. On this first bit, I'm using the alt piano, using Rob's Felt Mix. This is a preset, and I did a little bit of tweaking. I added the horizon instead of studio reverb, and we'll be able to hear that in a minute. I've got the spread very wide. The reverb you could see is about 50% wet, and I'm using an eighth note tape delay with some high cut and some age and flutter, and about a 40%, 35-40% mix. The front of the piano is off, and the other thing too is that there is a fair amount of noise right here from the action and the level, which we'll be able to hear. This is Albion Tundra. I've got this set up so that it's an ensemble that you can play through the whole keyboard. And this is the no rosin bowing. And let's take a listen to this, and then I'll play through the sound afterwards. So that's a very haunting and atmospheric little bit. The piano, I think, really sings out the melody beautiful. All the effects that you can add to it, plus the core tone with the felt and the character of the piano, really adds up to almost like a vocal quality to the piano playing the melody. Having the no rosin strings below that, the two of those combined together, using two instruments here with something that probably took me about 20 minutes to put together, that could work as a cue, a complete cue. You don't really need anything else with this. So let's solo out the felt piano and take a listen to what it sounds like. In some of the delay, you can really hear the wow and flutter changing the pitch subtly. And then that, I think, is being fed afterwards into the reverb, it makes it hang around even longer. All that variation and randomness really adds to the quality of the sound. It's really beautifully done, the programming that is. And then let's quickly listen to these no rosin strings. So you can hear that those strings are played with not a lot of vibrato to them, and they have a very understated character to them. I really think it's a nice combination. Let's take it from the middle and listen to a little bit of that again, and we'll move on. Yeah, the strings have a very delicate quality to them. It's really beautiful. So now the next bit, we're using just the alt piano with dynamics, and we have the key sounds, the string, and the pedal. I'll demonstrate those. We just have studio reverb and a nice mix of the close and the room, and a little bit of this guy here. I don't think there's any reverb. I don't think there's any delay. And I have the width off, and the piano front is also off. So let's take a listen to this, and we'll come back on the other side and talk about it and play through the sounds a little bit. With a little bit of a tribute to the late, great Keith Emerson, with the ending here being influenced by the Sheriff, which was influenced by Charlie Parker and other people. So if I bring the level of the action up, you can hear, after I hit the note, you can hear there's like a creaking sound. There you go. Right, so a little bit of that is nice. You don't want too much of it. And then here we have the sound of the keys. So let's turn this off, and let's turn these off. Right, and you can hear like a little plunky sound. I'll bring this all the way up. So that's nice. Adds a little bit of realism. The strings, and this is the harp going up and down when I hold the sustain pedal. Let me bring the volume of that up. Right, so I'm pushing the sustain pedal down. And then this is the actual sound of the pedal. And then the reverb, turn that off. So it's really a really cool sounding piano, and it's very useful. Our next bit makes use of two instances of the alt piano. The first one is the drifted piano. So this has a combination of the piano with one of the textures. It's called the drift texture. And you see it's got the felt up, full dynamics. The texture is a good level. We're using the close mic. We're using the horizon reverb, which is one of the large spaces. And let's see if we got any effects. Nope. Piano lid is open. Just the reverb and more than 50%. And then on this other one, we've got the texture air, full reverb. It's completely wet with the Eclipse reverb, which is one of the large spaces that they've created, large ambient spaces. Let's see what kind of effects we have here. So we've got a quarter note triplet delay, and we're using tape with age and flutter and mix, very wide stereo spread, completely wet. So we'll take a look at this and play it, and then we'll be back on the other end to talk about it. a very haunting, ethereal, suspenseful bit, and it can easily be used in many kinds of visual medium. And one thing I'll say is on this particular track here, there's a lot of work with MIDI volume. The drifted piano is very, very, very moody. Let's take a listen. I'll play a few things on the keyboard. Now, one of the things about writing and recording a sound like this is that there's so much activity happening after the attack of the note that to get the full effect and the full emotional value of what you're playing, you have to choose your notes very carefully and let the event happen after the attack of the note before you come in with your next bit. So, for example, something like this. That doesn't really work. That's just a wash of sound. But something like this, which is far fewer notes, really gives you something to think about. And then the air here. It's just this really beautiful ethereal pad sound. And it works well when you do some MIDI CC work. Now, the only other thing I wanted to talk about, which is more musical than anything, is this bit right here, which you might find interesting. So these are a series of 4 chords, and they're 4 notes each. And what they are is that they're stacks of fourths. So C, let's actually record and enable the piano track and not the air track. Okay, so it's C, F, B flat, and E flat, and then I take that whole bit, transpose it up a minor third, and then I take those 2 chords and I transpose them up an octave. So if I were to keep everything in the same octave, it would be. And that's cool for an ostinato, but for here, I want this sort of ascending and growing part of an arch structure. And so taking that and then doing an octave displacement up of the next 2 chords in the series really is nice. And then I just take with the air patch, I'm only taking the top 2 notes of the chord and doubling it. And then that aggregate sound is this. Now, the reason that I didn't do all 4 notes is that it becomes too thick and too muddy. And the reason I didn't do the bottom notes is I wanted to keep a little bit of air to it. I really just wanted this track here, this bit here, to be like a glow, a sheen, a shimmer that sat on top of these 4 chords. On our next one, we've got 5 tracks here. We have alt piano with the Lost preset with a little editing to it. It's piano and earth texture. So I'm using close and room mics. The reverb is on at about 25 to 30%, and I'm using the Eclipse, which is a very large space. And I've got 30-second note analog delay, fairly widespread. The piano front is on, so it's going to be more of a muted sound than with the piano open. And then the next bit is alt piano, texture signal. I've got this 100% wet with the horizon sound and an 8th note triplet, or a dotted 8th note, I'm sorry. And I'm using analog again. And this is 100% wet, and the piano front is off. So let's take a listen to this. Oh, well, before I do that, I've got 3 other tracks here, and they're all from Albion Solstice by Spitfire. And the first one is a string ensemble. It's an Evo, and it's doing something called trembling. The next one is a choir doing a motor, which is just a little broken chord. The last one is a bell combination from the nursery section of that library. Now, one thing that'll happen is you'll see that there's 2 MIDI notes here. That sound actually starts somewhere in this area. I've got some automation going on with expression and mod wheel. So let's take a listen to this. One of the things that's really cool about this is that could be like a full cue, and it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instruments. It took me about half an hour to write that. And if you're a media composer, time is money. To be able to knock something like that out in a short amount of time is really helpful. So let's solo The Lost, and I want to open this up while we're playing it. So what's really nice is you've got the piano giving you that nice percussive part of the melody, and the texture earth is almost like a choir in the background, doubling it and filling it out. And one other thing that is of note is that this 30-second note delay, it almost sounds like ADT, automatic double tracking. So I'll play with and without, and you'll hear the difference. So the first time with, second time without. That tight delay, the way it affects everything, it really just changes and transforms the sound. It's really beautiful. So that's really beautiful. And again, quickly we'll go through the solstice sounds. This is, like I said, the trembling Evo, and I've got copious amounts of Pro R in there. And I'll pick it up from the middle and just fast forward through a couple of spots so you can hear there's just really 3 bits. Here we go. Then we have the host choir doing these motors, which are just these rhythmic performances that are very difficult to create using MIDI. Let's take a listen to that. Now, what's really cool about using these motors is you notice here that I'm not completely synced up. That creates kind of like a syncopation, which is really cool. The top note comes in before these bottom two. It adds a syncopation and like a human randomness. And then the last bit of these nursery bells, which are just some single notes, and I'll talk about how I use them after we listen to them a little bit. They're just used to help with a variation on the second time through this piano figure, because it comes in here, and then I just played it again here. And the second time through, I'm orchestrating and I want to add something, but I don't want it to be too much. So I'm just doing a little point on each of the downbeats to emphasize this figure here at that point. Here we go. This bit here has a fairly busy rhythmic activity, but it is also outlining a melodic figure that this is emphasizing. Da, 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 da. Just the descending scale there. That's sort of like the background of what this is really doing. And you're just bringing that out with this orchestration. As you can see, I've been able to create a variety of music using this piano. Is it like a beautiful Steinway or Yamaha CFX or Steinway 9-foot piano that is on the stage of Carnegie Hall to play Chopin and Rachmaninoff? No, it's an upright piano that has felt and non-felt recordings with a great variety of textures, really great scripting in terms of easy access to the delay, easy access to reverb. You have the lid on, the lid off, felt, non-felt, and all the textures. They give you everything within the Kontakt player that you can use to create finished product without adding any other plugins. Is this instrument right for you? Well, I can't answer that for you. Only you can. But what you can gather from this video is that this is a very well done and very useful piece of software/sample library. I've been Pete Calandra. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to play you out with an improvised piece using the felt version of this instrument, and you'll follow along in the Pro Tools piano roll. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.